Okay, hi, I'm Kelly. I teach Capital Primary School, so I'm Janice and Jarrett. And my school has about 140 students, and 100 of those are from Kinder to Year 3, and I'm the lucky one that gets the 3-4 split, because we have splits for 3, 4 and 4, 5, and 5, 6. And if anybody's looked at the maths curriculum, the difference between Year 3 and Year 4 is pretty ridiculous at times. So I've had to find ways to try and get both of that curriculum in, and I found one way was graphing, not actually using my maths times to teach it, but I actually got some really good assessment out of it, so I thought I'd bring it in. So this is just the graphing for Year 3 and 4, and from the activities I've done, I have covered that much of it in one term, in one direct graphing session, but the rest through incidental times. So I started my graphing, wasn't sure where I was heading, but we do mental maths every week, so we thought, well, we need to have a place to display it. So at the start of our book, we set up a graph. This was 100% together. It took us forever just to draw it up, but talk it through. It was put the dots in, 2 squares up, 2 squares across to put the first dot so your axis was in the right space and things like that. It took a long time, but with our mental maths scores, it now takes 1 minute for them to add their data in. They know how this graph works. And they were picking up the language even though we were doing it together. Then I had the great idea with cross-country practice, because I also run the sports curriculum through the school. Not as a sports teacher, I just tell the sports teacher what to do. Last year we had a really big issue with our seniors not wanting to practice the cross-country. And so we thought, turn it into a competition, have pot sticks, every lap you do, you get a pot stick, have the classes against each other. And then I took this information back to my class and said, well, how are we going to show everybody? We're just going to have numbers. And they said, why don't we do what we did for our mental maths? Why don't we create a graph? So together, we sat down and they told me all the aspects that went into the graph. And they're like, oh, what's that L shape? And somebody else would call out, is that the axes? And they were coming up with the language just through conversation. We drew one on the interactive whiteboard. And we ended up, and I got the EA to take what we did on the interactive whiteboard, and we turned it into a massive graph that lives in our undercover area for all the classes to see. And so this is in the undercover area. So in this we had to talk about what can we put on our scale. These are Year 3s and 4s. Working out, well, if we're doing around about 30 to 40 laps, we're probably going to have around about 10 practices. We can't have each square equals 1 because our graph is going to be far too big. We can't even have it as graph equals 2, as 1 square equals 2, because we're still going to need around about 200 squares. And these are the conversations that my kids were having as Year 3s and 4s. And I do have some really big maths brains that were able to work out exactly. I said, well, if it was 5, how many would it be? And some people were working that out as well. I like the photo on the left of the 2 students because neither of those students were actually in my class. This was after school. I thought, I need a photo. Obviously wasn't recent. But I needed a photo, and I went to take just a photo of it blank. And there's 2 kids, not from my class, standing there talking about the data. And their 2 classes were the 2 that were winning at the time. And in the end, it came down to 3 points between the 2 classes. But having it on display for everybody to see turned it into that talking point. In my class, every single time they did it, we would get all the pot sticks during our fruit time. We get fruit at school. We have crunch and sip school, but we actually supply it to the kids. And so instead of wasting that time where they're sitting down talking about it, we had circle time, we had the graph. I would get 1 person at a time. What score is that team at? What strategy? How do we add this together? And I have a video of one of my students. Gemma, thank you.
Very nice.
Yes, please.
Stephanie, what class are you going to be?
It's just here.
Room 7. What is Room 7's current score?
she took away the 2 7s, added the 10s into together, and then added the 2 7s together, make 14, added it on top. We always talked our strategy, what was happening in your brain. Some kids, of course, aren't this quick. It is a 3-4 class, but I have actually filmed every one of my students doing this, and I've got some good assessment points from it. They knew that it was getting filmed. I didn't film it until the last few weeks, so these are the conversations that we had constantly had every time we were filling in the graph during group time. These are the questions they were getting used to getting asked. So in the end, they were able to do that. Some people would get up and say, can I use a pen? And they would write on the whiteboard their strategy for addition. Some people had some really way out strategies, but they worked. It was all about seeing the different ways their brains were working. We had done vertical addition during the term, so a lot of students would go to that, and you'd see different things. Are they lining up the your place value correct? So it wasn't just graphing in the end. This is our one and only graphing session in maths. Was a pictograph, because year 4s have pictographs, using a key that it's not 1 picture equals 1. So we had to have a lesson explicitly teaching that. Our very last day of term, we turned it into an investigation day. And it was a Smarties investigation. They each had a box of Smarties. They were working out what's the most popular colour. Every pack of Smarties is different. They did tallies. They did some of the language, column graphs, pictographs, and lots of questions. And I linked the questions to some of our other concepts. So there was fractions questions, number lines, probability, trying to get as much as I could, but I got some amazing assessment out of this, out of an activity that wasn't explicitly done in maths sessions. So just ideas. Thank you.